Some people in the media are starting to raise concerns that the government is controlling the media, and we should be all concerned about that. So as some of you will be aware, in the early 2000s, I was a breakfast host and talkback host on the Rema Broadcasting Network, and two interviews that I had during the week. One was with Barry Soper, the political editor, and the other was with the then Prime Minister, Helen Clark. And at 7:50 on a Tuesday morning, I'm sure she didn't look forward to it, but she showed up. And because we were butting heads and disagreed on a lot of things, but to her credit, she kept showing up for these interviews. In fact, I have a nice memorial photo here of that interview. That's in the early 2000s, so I look quite young there, don't I? But as I say, credit to her is that even if she didn't like the interview and didn't like the questions that I was asking, she was still willing to make herself available. There's concerns being raised that that's not happening these days and that the government is starting to control the narrative, and they're controlling it through the media. And one of these places is in the media press conferences that we all tend to tune into at 1 p.m. or 4 p.m. And one of our most popular videos this year has been that little expose of who the first question goes to from the Prime Minister, Jacinda Ardern. Does it go to Tova or to Jessica?
We are now happy to take questions. Tova.
What is this?
Tova. Tova.
Thank you. How close
It's Jessica.
Prime Minister, are you satisfied?
It's Jessica.
Prime Minister, what buffer?
Jessica and then Tova.
Prime Minister, have we
Yeah, Jessica.
information?
Jessica then Tova.
Where are we at with
Jessica then Tova.
what's the difference?
Jessica.
Details about
Jessica.
so the 24.
Jessica.
If you
Well, there you are. There's the Tova Jessica show. But when you've been around as long as Barry Soper, and he was actually political editor around the times of Muldoon and Longy, so he has been around for a long time. And he makes attempts to get that first question. In fact, here's a little video clip where you can actually hear him shouting, trying to get the first question, but see who the question actually goes to.
Now happy to take your questions.
Prime Minister.
And I'll ask Dr. Bloomfield to join us just in case there are other questions that relate to health advice.
Prime Minister.
I'll come to Jessica, then Jenna, and then I'll come to you, Barry.
Prime Minister, it's still a month before.
There we are. Barry can try, but he's just not going to get that first question. But the interesting thing is that other media journalists are starting to raise concerns. And one of them is one of Barry Soper's colleagues, Jason Walls, also from News Talk ZB. Have a listen to what he has to say.
Prime Minister and her ministers have been running those press conferences have changed quite a lot over the year and a half since COVID. It started off with being sort of a free-for-all, whoever could shout the loudest and get their attention. But now, as you'll hear, it's your Jessicas, then your Tovas, and then you kind of move around. It's gotten quite political, actually.
Well, that's interesting because they're supposed to be reporting the politics, but in fact, it's becoming political, just the whole media process. And so in the New Zealand Herald, Barry Soper has written a piece just last night. It's entitled, "For Jacinda Ardern, Press Conferences Seem to Be All About Media Control." And it comes off the back of the 4 p.m. presser yesterday when Barry Soper and Jacinda Ardern butted heads a little bit because Barry was trying to get a question in before he had to go off to do his live radio interview. Have a listen to this exchange.
I will come Jessica, then Barry, and then Jenna.
One quick question.
Barry, TVs are on deadlines as well. Jessica, and so did you. Barry, I'm going to ask for a little decorum. Jessica, and then Barry. Jessica?
Okay, so it did finally go to Jessica, but Barry Soper says this. He says, television is a Prime Minister's holy grail. Their appearance on it means everything to them, and hence our current leader's constant throw to the audience, on many occasions before she even looks up from her carefully scripted notes, Jessica Tova. But for her, it's all about control, to cut off a line of questioning before something difficult takes hold. If it runs the risk of taking hold, she'll talk over the questioner through the power of the podium microphone and move on. With the flick of a hand, she'll switch to another questioner. She's trained the media to raise their hands, which allows her to rattle off the order in which the questions are to be asked. If you're working to a deadline, which if you have to go on air and radio is constant, it's of no consequence to Ardern. Television takes precedence. Admittedly, the question she flicked away on her latest outing was probably one she wasn't too keen on taking. And that was what she was going to do in Auckland when she visited next. But Barry Soper finishes with this statement. It's called media control, but asking questions is called democracy and accountability. Now, Barry Soper is not the only one to raise the red flag. Yesterday, I shared with you an article by Peter Williams, who was talking about that $50 million slush fund called the Public Interest Journalism Fund. And the fact that one of its principles is to actively promote certain things. And Peter Williams says, well, actively promoting is not journalism. Actively promoting is, well, he would call it propaganda. And Carl Dufresne, the ex-editor of the Dominion Post, has also raised concerns. You know, in all of this, we need to be asking the question, who's actually controlling the narrative? Is the media reporting and keeping the government accountable? Or is the government actually telling the media what to report? And that seems to be the red flag that some in the media are starting to raise. And we should be concerned.